All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our Major League Baseball video here today. For Saturday, May 8th, my name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, please don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/rockpage. Despite a pretty rough past couple of days on that Patreon page, we're still hitting at 63% in our last 16 NBA tier package picks on that Patreon site. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off today. We also improved to 12-3 in our last 15 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon page as well. We currently have over 1,150 members. We're signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that page is in the description section below. That's patreon.com/rockpage. With that, guys, let's go ahead and start with our 4 o'clock slate. We're going to take a look at the San Diego Padres taking on the San Francisco Giants. 4:05 Eastern first pitch. The Padres are -130, total 7. Joe Musgrove's the expected starter for the Pods. Kevin Gausman for San Francisco. Now, Gausman's 2-0 with a 2.04 ERA and a 0.91 whip. Now, the righties also struck out 40 batters in just over 39 innings of work. The Giants are currently in first place in the NL West, 1.5 games ahead of the Padres in the standings. They also have the second most home wins in the National League with 11 of them. They're officially 11-3 straight up on their home field. And they're also leading the majors right now in home hits allowed. And they're currently holding their opponents to just 2.7 runs a game at Oracle Park. They're taking on a Padres team who lost 3 out of their last 5. And they also rank in the bottom 10 in the league in scoring on average per game. And as good as he's looked, Joe Musgrove comes into today's start with a 2-3 record. So, numbers look good, but just can't get the W. Padres is certainly letting them down. Now, total-wise, San Diego's 20-13 to the 20-13 to the under thus far in the season. San Francisco's 8-6 to the under on their home field. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants plus $110 and the under 7 runs. Next game, Rays, A's, 4:07 Eastern start time. The Rays are -135, total 7.5. Tyler Glasnow for the Rays, Frankie Montas for the Athletics. Now, Montas comes into today's start with a 5.87 ERA and a 1.47 whip. This Oakland pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in the league in home hits allowed. Meanwhile, their lineup's averaging less than 6.7 hits per contest as the home team as well. They're taking on a Rays club who won 5 out of their last 6 ball games. And they have the most road wins in the majors right now. Tampa Bay's currently 11-6 straight up when they bat first, and they're leading the league in road scoring. Joey Wendell's batting .293 with 29 hits and 47 total bases. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows has cranked 7 homers out of the park this year, 17 ribbies and 49 total bases for the slugger. Now, Tampa also has Tyler Glasnow on the bump here today. He's 4-1 with a 2.06 ERA and a .87 whip. The big righty struck out 64 batters in just over 43 innings of work. And when it comes to the total on this one, Tampa's 12-5 to the over as the away team. Oakland's 13-9 to the over on their home field. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays -135 and the over 7.5. Next contest, it is going to be Twins versus the Tigers, 4:10 Eastern Standard Time. The Minnesota Twins are -180, total 7.5 flat. Jose Barrios for Minnesota, Jose Urena for Detroit. Now, Urena comes into today's start with a 3.53 ERA and 28 punch-outs. The Tigers have also cashed in on the run line in 50% of their home games. They're taking on a Twins club who lost 3 out of their last 4, and they find themselves 7 games below 500. In addition to having a losing road record, this Minnesota lineup is striking out 10.1 times per game. Now, total-wise, 8 out of Minnesota's last 10 ball games got over the total of 7.5 runs. The Twins are officially 10-4 to the over as the road team. Meanwhile, 7 out of Detroit's last 8 got over the total of 7.5 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers plus 1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. Next contest, Brewers, Marlins, 6:10 Eastern first pitch. Milwaukee's minus 120, numbers 8.5. Adrian Hauser for the Brewers. Possibly Nick Neidert for the Fish, although he's not confirmed. Looks like a bullpen session for Miami. Now, Neidert's pitched 12 innings thus far in the year, 6.75 ERA, and a 2.00 whip. Now, the righty's had some control issues as he's walked 11 batters compared to just 8 strikeouts. And despite their most recent success, this Marlins lineup is averaging nearly double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate. They're taking on a Milwaukee club who leads the majors in hits allowed per contest on the road. This Milwaukee pitching staff gives up just 3.6 runs per contest when they travel, and they're holding their opponents to just 6.4 hits per contest in that same category. Adrian Hauser comes into today's start for Milwaukee with a 3.52 ERA as well. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, the Brewers are 11-6 to the under when they bat first. Miami's gone 60% to the under at Lone Depot Park. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers, minus 120, and the under 8.5. Next ball game, Reds, Indians, 6:10 Eastern start time. The Cleveland Indians are minus $1.25, totals 8, juice to the under. Aaron Savali for the Indians, Luis Castillo for Cincinnati. Now, Castillo certainly had a down year thus far. He's just 1-3 on the season with a 6.07 ERA and a 1.62 whip. Now, the Reds have also won just 5 of 13 on the road, and they average just 2.9 runs a game when they bat first. Since he's officially dead last in the majors in road hits as well, they're taking on a Cleveland team who's got one of the best in the game on the hill, and Aaron Savali. The righty's 4-0 with a 3.20 ERA and a 1.04 whip. This Indians pitching staff allows just 3.8 runs per contest, and they average 9.9 strikeouts a game. Now, total-wise, Cleveland's 8-6 to the under at Progressive Field. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Cincinnati stay under the line. Meanwhile, 4 out of Cincy's last 5 stayed under the total of 8 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians minus $1.25 and the under 8 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Mariners versus the Rangers, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. The Texas Rangers are minus 115 at home, totals 9 flat. Kohei Ariara for the Rangers, Eric Swanson possibly for Seattle. Now, the Mariners have won 5 out of their last 8 ball games. Top 10 in the league and fewest strikeouts at the plate when traveling. Mitch Haniger has hit 8 home runs thus far in the year, 24 ribbies, and 16 extra base hits for the outfielder. Meanwhile, Ty France has 29 hits on the year and 47 total bases. Now, they're taking on a Texas club who's won just 7 of 17 at Globe Life Field. This Texas lineup averages double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate, and they're in the bottom 5 in home scoring. Starting pitcher Kohei Ariara, he comes into today's start with a 2-3 record along with a 5.76 ERA. The righty's walked 9 batters and has a 1.40 whip as well. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Texas is 12-5 to the under as the home team. Seattle's last 5 straight outings failed to get over the total of 9 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Seattle Mariners plus $1 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, Red Sox, Orioles, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. The Boston Red Sox are minus 135, numbers 9. Garrett Richards for the Bo Sox, Zach Lowther for Baltimore. Now, the Orioles have won just 4 of 15 at Camden Yards. That's good for just 26% in that particular category. Baltimore is in the bottom 5 in the league in home scoring. They're taking on a Boston team who leads the league in hits and scoring themselves. J.D. Martinez is batting .325 with 10 homers and 31 RBI. He's currently the league leader in both homers and RBI. And the outfielder is also third in the big leagues with a 1.098 OPS. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts is batting .344 with 6 homers and 18 RBI. The Red Sox are 2.5 games ahead of the Rays for first place in the AL East. They're also 10-4 straight up as the away team. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, the Bo Sox are 9-5 to the under when they travel. Meanwhile, the O's saw 60% of their home games stay under the line themselves, 21-11 to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox minus 135 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, White Sox, Royals, 7:10 East. The Chicago White Sox are minus 160, totals 9 runs. If you like the Royals in an upset at home, they're plus 140 to win it and minus $110 to keep it close. Daniel Lynch is the probable for Kansas City. Lance Lynn for Chicago. Now Lynn's 2-1 with a 1.82 ERA and a .97 WHIP. The righty struck out 29 batters in just over 24 innings pitched. The White Sox are also in the top 5 in hits on average per contest, top 5 in road scoring. Yermin Mercedes is batting .380 with 5 homers and 16 RBI. The catcher currently has an OPS of 1.016. Meanwhile, Tim Anderson's batting .295 with 4 homers and a dozen RBI himself. They're taking on a Kansas City team who's got a losing record at Kauffman Stadium. This Royals pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in home hits allowed, bottom 5 in runs allowed at home as well. Daniel Lynch comes into today's contest with a .579 ERA and a 1.71 WHIP. When it comes to the total in this one, just 7 out of KC's last 9 stayed under the total of 9 runs. Lots of scoring in their games recently. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. Next ball game, still in that 7 o'clock slate. I'm talking about the Diamondbacks versus the Mets, 7:10 p.m. East. The New York Mets are minus 150. Numbers 8 juice to the over. Joey Lucchesi for the Mets. Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks. Arizona's in the top 5 in the league in scoring, top 10 in hits. David Peralta is batting .282 with 22 ribbies and 52 total bases. Meanwhile, Asdrubal Cabrera, he's been walked 18 times already, and he's got 15 hits on the year. Now they're taking on a Mets team who's in the bottom 3 in the league in scoring on average per contest. Joey Lucchesi also comes into today's start with an 0-2 record and a 10.13 ERA. Now the lefty's also got himself a 1.59 WHIP through over 10 innings of work. When it comes to the total in this one, the Mets saw 9 out of their last 11 ball games at Citi Field stay under the total. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with Arizona. I'm going to lean toward the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1.5 and the under 8 runs. Next contest, Blue Jays, Astros, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The Houston Astros are minus 145, totals 9. Christian Javier for the Stros, Steven Matz for Toronto. Now Matz has walked double-digit batters already and comes into today's start with a .478 ERA. Now the Blue Jays have lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they also picked up the W in only 9 out of 20 road games. This Blue Jays lineup is in the bottom 10 in scoring on the road. They're also in the bottom 5 in road walks at the plate. Now they're taking on a Houston club who's on a 2-game winning streak, and they also have a winning record at Minute Maid Park. This Houston Astros lineup actually leads the big leagues in fewest strikeouts at the plate, certainly doing a good job making contact. They're a tough out for sure. They're also in the top 3 in the bigs in scoring on average per contest. Yordan Alvarez has 14 extra base hits, and he's batting .340 thus far in the year. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel has hit 5 homers and knocked in 24. The Astros also have Christian Javier on the bump here today. He's been outstanding. He's 3-0 with a 1.75 ERA and a .90 WHIP. When it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of Houston's last 10 meetings with Toronto did stay under the line. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays are 13-7 to the under when they bat first. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 145 and the under 9 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Phillies versus the Braves, 7:20 Eastern start time. The Atlanta Braves are minus 160, totals 9. Ian Anderson for the Braves, Vinny Velasquez for the Titans. Now Velasquez comes into today's start with a 4.91 ERA and a 1.64 WHIP. Lots of command issues for Vinny as well. He's walked 13 batters in just over 18 innings pitched. And despite their current win streak, the Phillies have played their worst baseball on the road this season, winners of just 5 out of 14 road games. Now this Phillies lineup scores just 3.7 runs per contest on the road, and they strike out over 10 times a game. They're taking on a Braves club who's in the top 10 in home scoring, and they're led by Ronald Acuna, who's got 10 home runs and 22 RBI. He's tied for the league in homers, I believe. Don't confirm that, but I believe he's tied for first in the league with homers. But anyway, the outfielder is currently batting .321 with an OPS of 1.083. Ian Anderson is also taking the bump here for Atlanta today. He's 2-1 with a .327 ERA and 36 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, Atlanta's 13-2 to the over on their home field, 19-13 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Phillies are 8-6 to the over as the road team, 19-14 to the over for the entire year themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus 160 and the over 9 runs. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Dodgers-Angels, 9:07 East. The LA Dodgers are minus 145, numbers 8 runs. Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers, Dylan Bundy for the Angels. Bundy's 0-3 on the season with a 4.00 ERA. The Angels have lost 5 out of their last 6 ball games and failed to cash in on the run line in 9 out of 15 home games. This Angel pitching staff is dead last in the majors in runs allowed. They're also in the bottom 3 in walks allowed as well. They're taking on a Dodger club whose lineup leads the majors in walks at the plate. These Dodger hitters are getting walked 4.6 times a game. Now, Justin Turner is batting .330 with an OPS of 1.001, and that's mostly thanks to 7 homers and 18 walks. Meanwhile, Max Muncy's been walked 29 times thus far in the year, 41 total bases for the first baseman. Now, the Dodgers probably won't need a whole lot of runs here today. They got Clayton Kershaw on the mound here. The lefty's 4-3 with a 2.95 ERA and a 1.03 WHIP. Now, total-wise, 5 out of the Dodgers' last 6 ball games failed to stay under the total of 8 runs. A lot of scoring in their contest recently. The Dodgers also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Angels. And speaking of the Angels, they saw 6 out of their last 8 get over the total of 8 runs themselves. The Angels are officially 10-5 to the over as the home team. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 145 and the over 8 runs. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like San Francisco plus $1.10 under 7 runs. Tampa Bay minus 135 over 7.5. Detroit Tigers plus 1.5 over 7.5. Milwaukee minus $1.20 under 8.5. Cleveland minus $1.25 under 8 runs. Seattle plus $1 under 9. Boston minus 135 under 9 runs. Chicago White Sox minus 1.5 over 9 runs. Arizona plus 1.5 under 8 runs. Houston Astros minus 145 under 9 runs. Atlanta minus $1.60 over 9. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are hitting at 63% in our last 16 NBA tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also 12-3 in our last 15 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon page as well. And I forget what I picked. Give me the LA Dodgers minus 145 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind, Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a package here today on Patreon, you're going to get full access until the end of May. You're going to get full access to the membership you purchased Let me specify that. But anyway, guys, most importantly, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content. It's content. It's not a contest. It's a content. Anyway, hope you enjoyed all the free content. Happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.